Hey guys, I'm here today to share some of my mentally agonizing experiences that I couldn't shake off, and I believe many of you watching may also be experiencing something similar, whether you realize it or not. I wanted to make this video to help some of you to also wake up to these mental situations. I've been noticing that my thinking process has become much more linear than it used to be. Not just that, but even interpreting information in a fluid manner has become surprisingly more difficult than it was for me some time ago. For some reason, my mind only consists of a very few thoughts repeatedly throughout each and every day, even if there aren't any valid triggers to those same thoughts. What are those thoughts? The thoughts that any sane person would consider to be absolutely valueless if they are repeated to such an extent. Repeated thoughts such as race theories, political polarization, gender, human equality, consisting of only the most basic surface level rationale that people don't need to always consciously think of. Or just something that consists of the word opinions. Not just that, but the exact same sentence being repeated in my head. And I've noticed that something so basic is also constantly being regurgitated from the mouths of other people, and I kinda do understand why to an extent, but it shouldn't be the only thing that I repeatedly think about continuously. Other than that, concepts relating to gender and gender issues are being repeated in my head, nearly completely filling it. Gender is one of the most basic concepts in our world, but somehow something so rudimentary is constantly being debated in my head, and I don't think anything is more stupid than having a constant, perpetual argument about something so basic as gender happening in my head nearly the entire day for almost every single day. I think I might be going insane. Other than that, I think of political polarization or specific technologies development. Basically, I'm having only these 4 topics filling my head all day, every day, as if my mental space is being cluttered with garbage, and I do notice that it is taking away from my fluid thoughts about what's in front of me. It could just be my own issue, but I've been observing a pattern from many other people where so many separate people that I just happen to sit beside or walk by at my university's dining center, classrooms, libraries, and hallways that repeated the same sentence from one another, speaking of only the same limited number of topics. And I highly doubt any of these people just happen to all know each other, and they likely have no relation to one another whatsoever. Most of them repeated the exact same sentences, and I'll show you some of these sentences on a screen right now. I don't mean to eavesdrop, but when also in public, many people I've noticed are only talking about a very few topics. Topics such as race, gender, privilege, and equality, or the emphasis on the importance of personal opinions. Many of their replies being nearly the exact same sentences as one another from a completely different conversation. I really don't know why this is happening, but I suspect that it may be because of a certain algorithm and a feedback loop. Because when I open up social media such as YouTube or Instagram, that is what I see the most. It's just people blabbering about these topics. Not just that, but these sentences happen to pop out of nowhere, even following something completely unrelated. Earlier this week, in one of my ecology classes, the professor started talking about how gender is a spectrum and a social construct, after showing us a graph depicting the population of males and females of a certain species, and before explaining the graph itself. In my opinion, the population of the different sexes of a species doesn't directly relate to gender identity theories. And I don't know why the professor suddenly spoke about gender identity theories when the graph was shown. But I wonder if she also has the same issue as me, having these specific topics flooding her mind as well. Of course, I wouldn't know for sure, but it's just something that I suspect might be happening, and this worries me. Even from just a few years ago, my mind is fluid and flexible, and what it thinks about fluctuates in response to the circumstances, which is something that the mind is supposed to be doing. But just really recently, my critical thinking abilities are diminishing more and more and are very fixated on a very few things on a very surface level repeatedly. And it's been quite agonizing. Even though I've experienced something way worse in my earlier teen years, which I won't be getting into detail, but I don't think the human mind is meant to operate like this, and it is something that I am mentally fighting against, or else my mind might be killed. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I hope you all the best.